the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance. Good morning, Mr. Griffith. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Good morning.
So we have the preliminary results for the 2023 local government election. You all have managed to secure just over closer to 1,600 votes in the election. Thousand. Sorry, thanks. Very important to get the figures right because that's a very important distinction. Talk to me about how does this make you feel?
Well, it was a grueling campaign. First, I'd like to thank all the citizens of this country. Usually in other countries, there'll be civil wars and violence, and there was nothing like that. We went through a whole campaign, and even though certain political leaders try to cause division within a country, you didn't see that division, which is good. So I think whoever won, the main victor would have been the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. As it pertains to the National Transformation Alliance, what we did was simply to ensure that we reignited that bridge constituency. It started since 1981. There's always been room for that third constituency of persons who are not PNM till they're dead or board a UNC and will die a UNC. And there's nothing wrong with it. Those are two very powerful parties, very good parties that have done a lot towards the development of Trinidad and Tobago. But there will always be that third constituency. As I said, it started in 1981 with the ONR with 91,000. It then moved to 1991 with the NAR with 127,000. 2007, they moved to the Congress of the People with 140,000. And as it pertains to the NTA, if you just do the math simply, we acquired 16,000 votes out of 31 seats. You divide that, you get in roughly 500 votes per seat. Multiply that by 141 seats, you get 70,000 votes. If it is that we had gone through all 141. And that was a 30% turnout. In general election, it's double that, it's 60%. So you double 70 by 2, you will get almost identical to what the COP got the last time they went on their own in a general election, which is 140,000. So that number, that third constituency is still there, that 140,000 odd. The point being is that that number can never be in government on their own because of our flawed constitution that does not allow proportional representation, rather it's first past the post.
So what does the future hold for the NTA? Like, are you all going to focus solely on local government election, or are you all planning to be a party that participates in all elections? And how do you twin those two disparate concerns or goals?
No, well, again, the formation of a political party is to be in government, is to serve citizens. So it is not specifically for any one type of election, whether there are two national elections, you have the local government and then you have the general election. I think we use this as a very good platform to build something, to have a proper foundation. The voters were tested and you would have seen that people have accepted it. We went into the belly of the beast, the heartland. We were like the kamikaze group in that combination with the UNC. We went into the 31, probably the safest seats that the PNM has. In those 31 seats, the PNM, they would have been successful in apart from Point Fortin, because the numbers there are so small, in that corridor from Diego Martin, Port of Spain, Sarawak, Laventille, Tunapuna, Piaco, and Arima. In almost every one of those 31 seats, PNM would have been successful by over 750 to sometimes 2,500 votes in 2019. That is how wide it was. These were the safest seats. We were able to cut every single one down to size. So you point at certain seats such as La Floresta and Lupino, where they would have been successful in 2019 by over 1,000 votes. They won by less than 200. Several seats in Diego Martin, they won by less than 200. And those were seats that they would have been successful by over 600-700 just 4 years ago. So we have cut heavy inroads into the PNM heartland, and it played a very big part towards the election results. So we did what was required. In fact, that bridge constituency is very powerful in Sagre Grande, and we spent a lot of time in Sagre Grande to ensure that the PNM's game plan of trying to see if they could win Sagre Grande would not take place. We also spent a lot of time working with the UNC to ensure that they can win San Fernando, and because of that, you would have seen that they took one seat, and PNM scraped, barely held on for that fifth seat that would have given UNC the corporation. And I know there's a lot of questionable activity and concerns about matters with the ballot. By UNC. So with that, we have done well. We have set that platform. And what I was looking at is similar to 1983 local government election, when the ONR did something similar. They used that as the acid test to work with the then ULF. And with that, it built that type of trust accommodation mutual respect, understanding that went towards the general election in 1986. So I've been liaising with persons such as John Humphrey and others, looking at that type of model that took place in 1986, not so much 2010. 2010, I think, was a rush situation because of a snap election. Now we have time. It will be just a full year before you go into election mode for the general election. So it gives the parties a lot of time, which is what we intend to do. So what the NTA's game plan is to continue to build, as I said, based on the data here, you will see that we have almost identical to the support base of the Congress of the People. That added to the UNC votes will always annihilate the PNM. Every time there's that type of accommodation, whether it was 1986, 1995, and 2010, the PNM would be defeated. So what we have done is cutting those inroads into the PNM heartland. It sets the tone for us to win those marginal seats in the corridor and to ensure that we will be successful in the general election.
Let me just go back. You probably answered this before, but why not rebuild the COP? Why start a totally distinct political party, the NTA?
Well, that was an option. There've always been that concern that, listen, Gary, well, why just don't try to bring back and rebrand the Congress of the People? Yeah. There was an attempt for that, and it almost worked. Just about 4 years ago, my wife, Nicole Griffith, who was a previous parliamentary secretary and senator, she went up for the Congress of the People. And when we did our polls, there were about 6,000 persons planning to vote. 5,000 odd said that they were going to vote for her. If she does not go up, they are going to walk away. And because of the pettiness of two other candidates, they decided to take her to court because they didn't want her to go. And the data that we had showed exactly what happened. By them doing that, they destroyed the Congress of the People. Okay. So we had about 5,300 said they were going to vote for Nicole. 300 was going to vote for one person, 200 for another. And then when they actually went to do the election, that's exactly what happened. So the rest of the COP just walked away. Losing in 2015 was not the final nail in the coffin for the COP. It was based on the pettiness of individuals who, because of their own selfish agenda, destroyed the Congress of the People. So it was not my intention. So there was that possibility. However, the Congress of the People still exists. Yeah. And I speak to the hierarchy. I think they have noble intentions, similar to other political parties such as Hope and other parties. So we intend to speak and work with these other parties, but trying to regurgitate and bring back up the COP for what it was before. It is like trying to bring back the ONR or the NAR. They will, every few years, the letters will change, but it will always be that concept of that bridge constituency. Now that we have seen that the NT is now the de facto, that third constituency of those persons who are not PNM or UNC till they die. And as I said, so that number, based on what we have seen in this local government election, comes up just about in line with what the COP had with the last time a third party went alone in a general election, which is 147,000. But as I said, that number could never win government. In fact, you will get no seats on most occasions, or almost all the time, because of our situation of first past the post. So I intend to work and speak to a number of other political parties to look at that same model, similar to what John Humphrey had always had his plans for. And looking at that, I think it will set the tone to ensure that it's going to be good governance come 2025.
But let's talk about that. Let's talk about the NTA and your strategy and your partner, your arrangement with the UNC, because we have other parties who contested. We have the PEP and we have the PDP, and both have said, no, we'll go it alone. We want to spend the time building our own political identity and signifiers, and don't want to ally and be a true different option to the PNM and the UNC, which you actually have made reference to. You said, these are strong parties, but there are people who don't associate with those parties and want a different option. Do you think you've heard, seeing your final results now, right? You're closer to 16,000. Do you think you've hurt the NTA or maybe kind of didn't give the party, have the full confidence in the party, presenting it to the electorate by doing everything on your own? Talk to me about that strategy.
Yeah, there's actually a reason why 31 of the 45 United States presidents had military service, and all persons who in the hierarchy in the United Kingdom, kings or prince, they will go to Sandhurst or equivalent. Military, your training in the military prepares you for politics. Politics is an art of war. Just so you don't fire a shot. Well, thankfully on most occasions. And everything is tactics and strategy.
Right.
You sit up with that posture of feeling that no, the UNC and the PNM are the worst things in the world, and we are great and we are mighty and we must stand alone. And that is your right. There's nothing going to stop it. But you're going to end up being like the PEP and the PDP and lose your deposits, because you have to be factual. You have to face reality. So obviously some persons would be concerned. The majority of those persons who are concerned because of what we did, they are really people who they're vexed with the PNM, but they're really PNM. And they were looking for another option. But back at the ranch, if it is that they see that this is going to do something that's going to cause the PNM to lose, they're going to go back home and complain. So that is it, because your concern cannot be to the point that you feel that your party is so great that you do not want to work with anyone. And that, again, that is their right. I'm not criticizing them for this, but my concept is similar. I continue to stress the model, such as what John Humphrey and others had, is to build parties, work with other parties, because no one political party is perfect, especially in this country. We have seen this present government, they work alone, they stand alone, and it is the worst government ever, as viewed by many, as you have seen that over 60,000 more people voted against them in this last local government election. So the concept of saying that we will go alone, the reason why you get into politics is for no other reason than because you want to serve the country, you want to lead the country. And if it is you do that, how can you be going into a mission, into an operation, knowing fully well that there's not a snowball chance in hell that you are actually going to achieve your accomplishment? So you're doing it based on your own pride, based on your own ego, because you're doing something knowing that you're going to fail. I do not go into something to fail. So if it is that 89% of the country in the polls when I was commissioner of police wanted me to serve them, to protect them, to secure them, and the country is begging for that again. The only way I can serve the country again, to protect them, to make life better for them, is for me to be in a position of authority to do it. And the only way that I can do that is by working with other political parties to get into government. So by stating that the NT must stay straight, then we will end up just like the Congress of the People with 147,000 votes and no seats. We will stay just like the ONR in 1981 with 91,000 votes and no seats. We will stay just like the NR in 1991 with 127,000 votes and no seats. You add all that, we had over 350,000 citizens voting for 3 political parties and never got a seat. That 350,000 is usually what it takes to win a whole government. So it shows that I am not going to have the supporters of the NTA waste their vote by stating, well, this is our launch, and let's just stay because the UNC and the PNM are so terrible. No, they're not. The PNM have done a lot towards the development of the country. It is the RPNM that has become the problem. That's the wrongly PNM, because his style, his perception, his mannerism is something totally different to Eric Williams, Patrick Manning, and George Chambers. And that is where many persons in the PNM want change. So we intend to do what is required to get into government to serve Trinidad and Tobago. Other political parties who will be more like activist group that will say they want to stay alone, they can do that, and they will end up getting exactly what happened to them in this election, losing all of their deposits.
Griffith, thank you so much for that. Really quickly, because you spoke about, your partnership to get rid of the PNM, but isn't it also a little hurtful to the NTA as a new party to align itself so closely with United National Congress?
No, again, it is a strategic alliance. It's
right.
Not only making it look like we're trying to join. We have not joined with the United National Congress. If that was the case, I could have easily gone across to the UNC and hold a very senior position. But the fact of the matter is that, as I said, if it is that you want to get in government, if you want to serve people, certain alliances must be formed. And there's nothing wrong with that. As I said, I intend to work with several other political parties. And mind you, let it be known that the first political party that we decided to work with and to support was the PNM when the NT was formed. You remember Gary Griffith spoke. It was, he has the worst Minister of National Security ever. Thankfully, the PNM had a miraculous job in trying to hide Fitzgerald Hines from the local government election campaign, which played a part towards their measured success. So because of their failure, it is the worst the country has ever seen in crime, bloodshed. It is the highest crime rate ever. I offered to Keith Rowley and said, I am willing to help you. And that is the way I think. I will always be a patriot before a politician. And we are willing to help the government, not the PNM, because a prime minister holds 2 hats. He has the hat as a political leader, who is my political opponent, but he's also a prime minister. And as a politician, regardless of the fact that we may be opposed to the PNM, we must do everything in our power to assist the government to ensure that they succeed. I offered my services, and he said in local parlance, I do not care. So it means that if the PNM is saying I'd rather see the country washed in blood rather than to accept support from other political parties, why would anyone want to? You are saying that I will rather vote for a political party that can cause a greater chance of my wife being kidnapped, my daughter being raped, my son being killed, and you say I want to support that? That is your right, brother. But in my regard, I have to do what is required to ensure that I can serve people, make life better for them, make life safer for them. And if it is that we have to form strategic alliances, so be it. Listen, there have been over 80 countries in the world that had coalition governments. Over 80. That's almost half of the countries in the world. Many still exist. So this is not something that is new. What I can give the assurance is this time around, there's going to be mutual respect, proper coordination, communication, better understanding, and we will ensure that what that John Humphrey model was in 1986 can very well work, because I do believe that saying that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I did hear you mention also quickly, you spoke about an individual who said that he is now the third party. That is really comical. I mean, the maths just simply that cannot add up. We acquired 16,000 votes in 31 seats. He and the other parties they formed an accommodation with got about 6,000 votes in double the number of seats that I went up in. So you get 6,000 votes in 60 seats. I get 16,000 votes in 31 seats, but you call yourself the new third party. He and I went to the same school, but it's quite obvious that he studied maths in August.
Okay, so Gary Griffith is referring to the interview we have on page 8 of today's Guardian with Philip Edward Alexander, where he says that PEP is now officially Trinidad and Tobago's third party. Just for clarity, we do have the billboard up. The Progressive Empowerment Party received just about 6,000 votes in total for the election, while the National Transformation Alliance received 15,997. Gary Griffith, what does the future hold for the NTA? We are expecting a national general election in 2025. What is your path from now till then? Because that is still some ways off.
Well, it isn't really. You just have a year to prepare before a general election. The campaign really starts about a year before. Mm-hmm. So by probably you have a few months, and from next year, from January, you start the planning and preparation for that campaign. So this is what I intend to spend the next few months working and speaking to other political parties, trying to ensure some type of a synergy so that we can have a good relationship, good mutual understanding. And by doing that, we can put that type of model that was the NAR that was initially planned since 1986, not 2010. 2010, as I said, it was a rush job because of a snap election, and because of that, there wasn't a proper foundation. What we are doing now is similar, as I said, in 1983, when we had the local government election, there was a foundation between the ONR then and the ULF, and that built something towards the NAR, which is what the whole country wanted. So what I am doing, whereas other political parties, there were two political parties in this campaign, the one being the PNM, the other being the PNMB team, and they spend most of their time playing divide and conquer, trying to criticize, trying to attack, trying to ridicule, trying to undermine. And it is sad to the point that one of those political leaders on election day, on Monday, actually sent out notices telling people to spoil their ballots. That is the type of division we do not want in the country, the type of negativity. So my concept of politics is to unite, to build, to be productive. And by doing that, I intend to build bridges. That is the reason why we call ourselves an alliance. And that is why we intend to have that word transformation. We intend to transform Trinidad and Tobago by not doing the old type of politics of attacking, coming up with email gate, coming up with lies about firearms, and after 2 years, nothing can come up, because the politicians do know that if you say the same lie over and over, people will believe you. We intend to do just the opposite. The NTA, we intend to be the catalyst towards bringing other parties together, working with them, inclusive of the UNC, and have respect. If the PNM can learn to have that degree of mutual understanding and respect, they can be a better political party. Thankfully, as I said, during the campaign, the 130,000 odd who voted for the PNM, not one of them showed that degree of disrespect to the other persons in other political parties in the walkabouts, in the motorcades, which says so much that citizens are no longer going to be blindly following the actions and the antics of those who they vote for. So it is very unfortunate, but as I said, that is our game plan for the next few months, to work with other parties and build something that is so strategic that we are going to have a foundation to ensure the best government this country has ever seen come 2025.
Gary Griffith, political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, thank you so much for joining us on The Morning Brew. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure.